Alright, so here we are back at our slide. I think you can see that. Here's the area that I'm talking about, and our nicely polished and machined face right there. This is where it's going to go, up in there like so, right up against that face. Okay, so let me go ahead and flip it around here. So here's the other side, and then this face is as well. It's got a little bit of wear in it, so I've been giving thoughts to maybe machining this off, but I haven't decided because I really don't want to have to remove any metal off this piece. It'd be easy enough to remove some of the shoulder here if needed. But if I put a washer on this back side here, it should reduce it. It should bring it back a little bit anyway. So this is another thing that I'm thinking about, is maybe doing this, which would be a great job for the shaper if we had a tool slide and a tool head mounted on the shaper. We could probably do this in the milling machine. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together though, so that we can see how much thread we have here, to see if I can make a washer for each side of this. So here's our friction collar that goes on that way right there. I don't know if I need the key. I might need the key to tighten this nut up. I'll be right back. It's just now come to my attention that I had misplaced the key for this. I just realized that. I went over there on my nice little food tray with all my parts, and the key is not in there. I went out and looked where I cleaned all the parts. Man, I don't know. It seems like I had that thing in my hand and I set it somewhere, and that's always a mistake if you don't put it where it needs to be and you set it down and say I'm going to come back for it. But anyway, not to fret. I have a piece of 3/16 key stock right here. I can just cut another one, but let me see if I can go ahead and get this on there anyway without it, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm seeing how much, I want to see how much thread I'm going to have after the lock nut there. Alright, see that right there? See how it's getting tight? That's where some of the backlash was coming from, because I knew it seemed excessive. So you've got to adjust this nut so that you have a slight amount of in play. I wish I would have realized that before. I didn't even think to check that, but that already feels good right there. So I think if we make some thin bronze washers to go on each side of this to serve as a thrust bearing surface, I think that'll allow a good spinning fit on those and protect the original cast iron there, and it'll be a replaceable part. Okay, that's what we'll do. Before I take it off, I'll take a measurement there, just scaling it out. We've got just over 1/8 of an inch. All right, so we got a good 125, 135 thousandths there of metal that we can play with on our thickness of our washers. I'm going to go ahead and measure this counter bore right there and make the washer fit this bore. I believe it's a nominal size of 1.5 inches. I'm going to use Granddad's number 700 Starrett. This is from 1 to 2 inch. So I'm getting right at 522 right there. All right, so 1.5 inches, maybe a few thousand smaller than that. It should just drop right in there, and it's got a real good clean factory machined area up in there that it will sit down on, and I think that'll work good. I got this piece of bronze right here. This is the same piece I used to make that oil sight on the back of the shaper several weeks back, and it's the perfect size. So we'll machine that, go ahead and get us a bushing made. Alright, we got the big Cushman mounted back up in the Monarch, and I got her cleaned off some. I believe the last job I did was machining this piece of bronze right here. So I hadn't reset the jaws. I think we're just going to use them right where they're at. This end has been flared a little bit. It's been used as some kind of punch at some point. Whoa. Off quite a bit. Alright, what do you say? That's close enough? Yeah, that's close enough. Make sure all the jaws are snug, that you don't have one loose that you missed. Okay. Alright, let's get her faced off. It should be real simple. We're going to use that new tool bit that I ground in the other day. Slowed that feed rate down for that final cut. Oh yeah, baby smooth finish right there. Don't have much to take off the OD. Let's see what the factory made OD is. It's about 35 thousandths. $20,000 cleanup cut, then we'll take one more after that to finish it out. That should be plenty of metal right there. I'm just going to take it to 1.5 inches. That's 14 thousandths right there. For that bore, we're going to use that little carbide insert bar right there. Don't have a whole lot to come out of there. I'm just going to use my calipers to measure this. We know we want it 15/16, which would be 9/37. So we got 200 thousandths to come out of it. And I need my earplugs. That was my finished cut. I want it 9/37, and I think I got it there. I'm there. I've scaled this thing over 1/16 of an inch. I think that's where I'm going to part it off, and if that ends up being too thick, I've got enough material there that I can part one more off again that's thinner. But I think 1/16 is going to work for that side right there. And I've already indicated my tool to make sure that this is square, that we're going in nice and square. It's important with these high-speed blades like that, or any of these old school blades. It's got to be perpendicular to the work. All right, got our parts catcher there. I need to grab a file. There we go. Have to do a little deburring on that back edge right there. There it is. I haven't deburred it yet. Look at that. Like it was made for it. We'll use this one right here. Let's see, we'll try this little guy. Oh yeah, that's working good right there. That particular blade is better suited for this type of material, bronze or cast or ductile. All right, that's where she'll sit. All right, just like so. I'm gonna go ahead and get this back together. Okay, I think that's gonna work out pretty good right there. Everything will have to be fine-tuned once it's on the machine and set up, but I think that's gonna work pretty good. So I know that I want to do basically the same thing to the other side. Just got to figure out what I want to do about that, if I want to machine it, but I really don't know yet. I do need to find another piece of bronze. I probably got a piece at work that I can use to make that this other side right here, because this one's larger than this piece that I got. So I need to round up another piece of bronze, and it's looking like that I still have, it looks like I've got about 3/32 of an inch sticking out there, so I definitely got room for something here. All right, so we're going to work on that one next, and I'll bring you back whenever we do, okay? I found me a piece of 2-inch bronze stock right there, so I'm going to use that to attempt to make a very thin shim or bearing or spacer, whatever it's called. That's what we're going to attempt. I've had issues in the past when I was trying to part off real thin material that it tried to warp on me whenever I was parting it off. So we're going to see, you know, if it's too thin and warps, then we'll make it thicker. OD is going to be 1 13/16, or about 1.812, just somewhere in that ballpark. That's what the friction dial is measuring. I believe 1 inch 8/15, I think, is what it measured. And then we'll just put a bore of 5/8 through there. Check my center height. Each lathe is just a bit different on the center height there, so usually have to adjust it a little bit. Make another cut. All right, we'll make one cut here. That's at 835. I'm going to take 20 thousandths. I want to regrind this parting blade I've actually got quite a bit of radius honed on this side right there. Since we're going so thin, I'm gonna make it sharp and then just break the edge with a hone, and then put an angle on it as well so that it parts the piece off and leaves the nub on the material. That'll work right there. .5/8 drill bit. We'll see what it does. That's 10 thousandths. It might have worked. I seen it trying to warp though. Yeah, it did try to roll it over some. See, that's what I was talking about when you're trying to thin, part thin stuff. All right, well, we got some material there. Let's try it again. Let's try 20 thousandths and see what it does. Yeah, even that one's trying to pull out on me. I don't know if it'll flatten out. A little thicker than I want. I'd rather use the 10 thou. I might see if I can press that flat. You know, this thing might just work out just the way it is. It's fitting perfectly up in that little bit of wear area, and even though it's got that little bit of springiness to it, I think it might work. So I might put this together. Still probably face a few thousandths off that to make sure it's good, a good flat area there. So that's going to go up against it like that. Friction collar is going to go over that. You can still see I didn't want it real thick right here because of the line. The 0 mark right there that you got to line up to. I didn't want it sticking way out away from it. I might put this together and see how it feels just like that. I went ahead and put the spring inside the friction dial. You have to really push down hard on it, and that creates a lot of tension so that that doesn't spin freely. It takes a little bit of force. Made a new key, 3/16. And let me snug this up here. I know I could handle that right there. This will be a fine-tuned deal once I get it on the machine, but I mean that's good right there, and that's no backlash at all. And we've got bronze on both sides of that, so we know we don't have the steel rubbing on cast. Still need to put a little bit of oil or lubricant on it. Probably just use some oil. Remember, there's a groove on this side where you drop a little bit of oil on there. Well, I think I'm going to consider that a fix for now. I'm happy with the way that this is turning out right here, so we're going to leave that alone. I think that washer that I made is going to work out just fine, that thin one. All right, so next step is machine a new nut for this right here.